Oh man, here we go. Here we go. Let's wait for it. You guys know I got to see everything. Twitter up. I think Twitter, you're awake. Twitter's with us. YouTube, where you at? It's all. I think YouTube is waking up, but are we for sure awake? Yes, we are. YouTube is second. Rockfin, where you at? Rockfin's third. Rockfin and YouTube were usually neck and neck, but lately Twitter has been coming in a strong second. Well, Rockfin has been coming in third. It's not a competition. Twitter is always first. Twitter is always first. And YouTube is my least favorite of the platforms, if I'm being honest. But what's up, everybody? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. If you're in a future time zone, what's up? How's the future? And welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the headline show of the week. We got a lot of headlines to get through. There is a Twitter whistleblower that has revealed some stuff about Twitter. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the teacher strikes. We're going to be talking about Facebook censoring abortion information, and it's there's a movement to put a stop to that. And we got some breaking news actually that I just saw, but we got to talk about. Now, helping me through the headlines today, it is that time of the month. Now, we don't get to have that time of the month as frequently, but she was able to join today. So please welcome to the show, the one and only Savage Joy. What's up, Joy?
Hello. Yes, it's not that we don't get to have that time of the month frequently because I'm preggers. It's not literally.
Right. Yeah, I should have specified that.
I took a job, so yeah, and damn them, it freaking affects our show. Freaking assholes.
Well, I was thinking about this. I mean, I'm happy you're here, obviously, but I also was thinking about, man, what a dystopian timeline when you break down the circumstances. Like, hey, under normal circumstances, Joy would have to go to a job where she's grossly underpaid. But today, she's getting over COVID, so she gets to do the show. Like, how
with
freaking
no vacation pay or sick pay. It's just like, but at least this is one good thing that came of it. You know, I may have COVID, but I get to do that time of the month.
What day are you on? How's it going?
I am day 9.
Okay, so you're pretty much. I mean, you sound fine. Are you recovering?
Yeah, I feel much better.
All right, cool. Well, if you're
before people ask, I am triple vaxxed. I know people are gonna ask, so
yeah, I mean, so you're triple. Okay, I'm. Does that mean vaxxed and boosted, or does that mean like?
Yes, like I got 2 Moderna and then the boost. I don't know. Okay. People call it triple vaxxed.
Okay, I just say vaxxed and boosted because I got the one shot the first time.
Right.
I got the J&J, so it was the one and done shot, and then I got actually off the top of my head I forget which booster I got, but anyway, glad you're feeling better, and if at any point you sound a bit lethargic or anything, people know why, and that's no big deal. If at any point I sound lethargic or anything, you guys watch this show. You know how it goes for me. So so Joy, we got some fun headlines. This is breaking. I just saw this. This was tweeted about, I guess at this point, 2 hours ago, by More Perfect Union. So I've been covering the Starbucks union efforts a lot. It's a very important story. Starbucks stores are unionizing pretty much every day at this point, which is freaking amazing. And Howard Schultz, great guy. Here's what he tried to do. He tried to up the pay for some workers, but here's the deal. He said, well, I'm going to up the pay for all the non-union stores. You union stores, well, you just want to unionize. I just wanted to up your pay because I'm a good guy. So I'll offer it to the non-union people, but not you. Which, first of all, that's bullshit. That's him trying to turn the workers against each other. In reality, he's doing that stuff in response to the pressure of the unions. And also, more importantly, he can't do that. You can't do that. That is illegal. So here's a beautiful update. And Joy, I hope this is music to your freaking ears. This is from More Perfect Union. The NLRB, National Labor Relations Board, has ruled that Starbucks illegally withheld pay and benefits from workers at hundreds of unionizing stores. It's now moving to force Starbucks to pay back 100% of the denied benefits, require Howard Schultz to record a video admitting the illegal action. God, I hope that video is available for the public. God, I want to watch that video so bad. The NLRB is also requiring Starbucks to order all managers and supervisors to attend a labor law and workers' rights training and issue a letter of apology to all Starbucks employees for the hardship cause. Now, I'll read this quote, then I'll turn it over to you, Joy. So this is a quote from Maggie Carter, a barista from Knoxville, Tennessee. Howard Schultz made the decision to deprive us of a raise in a time where the cost of living is skyrocketing. He claims to run a, quote, different kind of company, yet in reality, Howard Schultz is simply a billionaire bully who is doing everything he can to crush workers' rights. This NLRB decision is historic. I look forward to the day Howard Schultz must apologize to us for violating our rights and provide the benefits he so callously denied us. Boom. Yes.
Oh my God. I'm tearing up. I'm not going to lie. That's fucking amazing. And it's so powerful. It shows that we, the people, can fucking do this shit. Like, we can do this. I've interviewed a number of Starbucks workers, and I'm going to be having more on, and Trader Joe workers as well. This is, oh my God, this is so phenomenal. Oh my God.
Isn't that so cool? Like, as soon as I saw that, I was just like, oh my God, I got to talk about it. That is so awesome that they're just throwing down the hammer on Howard Schultz. They're not, I mean, it's like he tried to pull a quick one on them. It didn't work. They're like, look, Howard, unlike the 12 people who voted for you for president, we're not clueless. We're seeing through your nonsense and we're calling you out on it. So, oh man. I'm sorry to everybody.
That's amazing. And then the Memphis 7. Did you hear about them?
So those were the Memphis workers who were fired just for the union efforts. And a bunch of people are saying you have to reinstate them. But yeah, what's the update there?
They got their jobs back.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's kind of interesting though, because like how kind of, and this is fucking phenomenal, and I'm so happy for them. But wouldn't it be kind of awkward to just like go there and be like, "Hi, I'm back."
Well, I think all the other workers had their backs pretty much.
Oh God,
it was just from above that they were fired. Mm-hmm. Like I don't even know if it was a local manager. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't recall exactly, but it was like from above that they're being fired.
Yeah.
Their other workers had their back, so I'd like to think it was a pretty celebratory reunion.
That's the thing. You're seeing so much solidarity with the workers. Like, it's fucking beautiful to see, someone getting fired and the entire store walking out with them.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that on TikTok. That was in New York, right? That was near Buffalo. They all just walked out because that worker got fired for union efforts.
After 13 years of working there.
So you love to see it, and I want to apologize to everyone because usually I save the good news for last, like give you a little bit of hope last. But this was breaking, so I was like, well, I got to bring it in. We got to talk about it. So so a little bit of good news first. Shout out to the Starbucks union efforts. Shout out to all the workers who are unionizing. And Howard Schultz, I cannot wait to see your apology letter, and I really hope that video is public. I can't wait. I'm just gonna watch that video on repeat. There's gonna be a full episode of Get Your News On with Ron where we do nothing but just watch that video on repeat.
I'm gonna make it my ringtone.
Yes.
Well, the Boston Starbucks is now going on 40-something days
of a strike or
of protesting.
Oh,
and their last Saturday, Bernie and Sarah Nelson went to join them at the picket line, and then they had a big rally for them with
I saw that.
With Starbucks workers, being highlighted. So it's definitely getting attention. And I was told at this point there's over 250 Starbucks that have unionized.
That's so amazing. Well, I always mention this on the show, like when it first started, every single week, I would just cover every unionizing store, which was great. But then it got to the point where I'm just like, I can't, with a once a week show, I can't cover all because every day there's another one. It's almost like you just got to list them and hope you don't forget anybody, which is awesome. That feels so freaking great. So let's stick with labor for a little bit, because I wanted to go on to the teacher strike. So I'm sure the teacher strikes, some of them are happening right near you, Joy. It started in Columbus, Ohio. Here is an update. It is now spread to Kent, Washington. So it's going coast to coast now, pretty much. They voted to authorize a strike this week. Other teacher strikes throughout the country: Washington, D.C., Columbus, Ohio, which was the first one to get a lot of steam, Dallastown, PA, Woodland Hills, PA, which is that's just a suburb of Pittsburgh. There is no, I think this is sort of like a mistake on their part. There is no Woodland Hills, PA. It's just a suburb of Pittsburgh. And I verified that is in fact the place they're referring to. I know this because I grew up there. So yeah, but the suburb of Pittsburgh where Woodland Hills High School is, and then Philadelphia, PA. So there's a couple right near you. Where's Dallastown? Do you know?
Dallastown, I think that's actually not far from Philly.
Okay. So, I mean, this kind of follows the trend. I mean, other than Kent, Washington, that's sort of like the outlier as far as geography goes. But that sort of follows the trend of like strikes are contagious. Like when people see it, they would, because it's like, you know, DC is not that far from Pennsylvania, Eastern Pennsylvania, a little bit in Western Pennsylvania, which isn't that far from Columbus. There's like this whole cluster of striking. And, you know, I mean, I tweeted this. Every teacher everywhere should be on strike right now. The way they are treated is criminal, and it has just gone too far. They're striking for better pay, and they're striking for better safety in the classroom, you know, better ventilation, better safety precautions, stuff like that. And they're striking for just better treatment. They're buying their own supplies, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell? It's nuts. And we're living in a society where shooter drills are a way of life. I mean, it's unreal. I don't see how teachers just aren't screaming at the top of their, and most of them are, and deservedly so.
And the student-teacher ratio is just mind-blowing. Like, you have a teacher with like 35 kids in a class. Yeah. That's insane.
Well, here's something else on that. Not only is there that, but they don't even set the teachers up to be prepared for that. What I mean by this, so I have a friend who is an elementary school teacher. Now, elementary school, what she's qualified to teach, it kind of runs the gamut. I think it's like K through 9, maybe, or maybe it's just K through 6. But it's a gamut. And obviously, if you're teaching first graders, that's a lot different than sixth graders, clearly, right? She still, right now, doesn't have her assignment. She hasn't gotten it yet. Because, like, I texted her about this event. She's a friend of my neighbor. And I was like, hey, are you going to this thing? And she said, no, I'm really stressed out right now. I don't have my assignment yet. So she basically has to prep for everything. She basically has to be like, I mean, that would be like you get cast in a movie, but you don't know what role you're playing yet. And you start shooting tomorrow. So it's just, we'll just memorize the whole freaking script. You don't know what you're going to play. So she's so stressed out. And she's just like, I'm having really bad anxiety. And she's like, this is education in the US. They set us up to fail. I mean, how messed up is it? You can't give them the respect as professionals to let them know what the F they're going to be teaching.
Oh my God. So it's very feasible that a kindergarten class may be taught what a fifth grader was going to learn, or, you know, is something like that. I mean, that's certainly feasible with the amount of teachers there are.
They'll find out a couple hours beforehand. They'll be like, did we say fifth grade? We meant kindergarten. It's just like, oh, okay, that's not, I'm not going to, I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, obviously, I'm not an elementary school teacher, so, you know, that all is a bit foggy because my last memory of it when I was there was when I was there. But you're doing, like, chapter books and stuff by, like, what, second grade, third grade. You're not doing that kindergarten, first grade. By sixth grade, I mean, you're basically into young adult. You can introduce, like, more advanced themes. So, yeah, it's totally... And that's not even touching science or mathematics.
Right.
That's nuts. And you also have to, like, the way you communicate with them on a level that they'll understand, which is very difficult for people who don't work with children. That's not an easy thing to do. Like, have you ever tried to, like, talk to a kid?
I worked in a daycare.
So you have experience.
Mm-hmm.
I like, for me, it's like when I meet my friends' kids and stuff, like I just wonder, I'm like, what are they thinking right now? Because I'm like trying to find some kind of point of connection. but I got nothing. Like, I'm just like, what grade are you in? And they're just like, and I'm like, I don't have anything. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm friends with your mom or dad. Like, I got nothing. Like, I don't have one of you, so I have no idea what to do here.
I
I'm
usually just compliment something they have. Like if they have a shirt with a dino on it, I'm like, oh my God, that shirt is so rad. You like dinosaurs? And that's like my
wouldn't even
go-to.
I wouldn't even think to do that. See, that's why you were able to hack it at the daycare. So I wouldn't even think to do that. I would, yeah, I would just be like, what music do you listen to? I don't know what we could talk about. I don't know. I'm sorry. I respect you, but I don't know what else we could do here. Like, I just don't know. And I wish I was. But because I feel like, like when you meet your friends' kids and you're just like totally flailing, trying to talk to them. And you feel like your friends are just like, wow, Ron, hope you don't go this route because you're really shitty at this.
I think part of it is just because I'm so immature. Like, about 2 weeks ago, I went over my friend's house and they have a 5-year-old. And I was like, let's go in the pool and play shark. And we have this like plastic shark and we're like sending it back and forth to each other. And I'm
I feel like
43.
no, I feel like if we had an activity, I would bat a little better. Like if it's just like, here's a soccer ball, I'd be like, okay, I got this. But if it's
Right,
like
right.
just my words, just conversation, I'm not good at it. I mean, my point being, it's like there's a certain way to connect with them where you can teach them. I mean, it's
Right.
really, it's like a superpower when you really think about it. Like they are like young people, like a 5-year-old, a kindergartner, whatever. Their brain is a freaking sponge. Their
Yeah.
brain is a freaking sponge because they've not had much life experience. They don't have their world is very small, and they're here to learn what the world means. Not that any of us know, but when you're an adult, you know a little bit more, and you just start planting the seeds. Like planting the brain seeds. I mean, it's a frick, and we treat these people, the people who do that, we treat them like absolute shit.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. I remember when Bernie was campaigning, one of his things was unionize all teachers and also an absolute minimum of 70,000 a year. And that's essentially double what they make because the average of what teachers make is 35,000 a year. And this is to shape the future people of the world. It's mind blowing.
And here's the thing. I tweeted this and I tweeted it like tongue in cheek because it's just like if you don't think teachers are being treated terribly, what is it telling you that in the United States, one of the worst work cultures in the freaking world? I mean, you have COVID, you're not getting sick time right now. I mean, it's like we're all living it. One of the worst work cultures in the world, and there is a shortage of people willing to do a job that includes a summer vacation. Like, what is that telling you?
Accurate.
Now here's why there's a certain tongue in cheek there. Yes, a teacher has a more generous vacation package compared to a lot of other professions, but it's not like it's a seasonal job because some people they're just like, oh, well, it's a seasonal. No. They do career development things during that summer vacation. They do different, like they might attend a conference. They might attend some kind of like learning camp or something like that. They're supposed to advance themselves as educators, and that is part of their job. They're expected to do that. So yes, while they have it better than as far as time off than like someone who works, just a regular 9 to 5 or whatever, it's not like they're completely off. They're not. That's not how it works.
And some of them do like summer reading programs to help the kids, encourage them to read. Now, some of the schools, and a lot of people don't know this, but some of the schools give you the option of having your pay spread out through 12 months. Some of the schools do not. So you don't get a paycheck for 3 months. So that's a big deal when you have to still plan for your expenses, to be able to afford rent and stuff during those 3 months. So it really depends on school district, but a lot of
Well,
teachers do go through that.
I bet all the math teachers just take it for 9
Yeah.
months. And then all the humanities teachers, they're like, yeah, spread it out through 12 months. I don't want to, but the math teachers are like, this is part of our gig. We can budget. We got this. But so let's stay with higher education. And Joy, I'm sure you've been paying attention to this. Student loan debt and everything that's going on with student loan debt. We got $10K is going to be forgiven, which is by definition more than zero. And it's also more than the Taco Bell coupon that I was expecting. So it's $10K. And then they did also pause the payments until the end of the year. I actually think that's the bigger thing.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
You think so too?
I worked in federal student loans for over 3 years for the state Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And the interest is what really hurts people. The interest. It's not, and that's something a lot of people were like, oh, I paid mine back. Why can't you pay yours back? Well, here's the thing, because many loans, when they first originated, didn't have interest, or they had like a 2%. Well, loans now, every month they capitalize. So you may take out a $10,000 loan, it accrues, I don't know, say $300 in interest that month. Now you're paying interest on $10,300. So that's how it snowballs. And so getting $10,000, while yes, it's great, it's likely going to all go to interest.
Right.
Likely.
Right. Yeah, it's a very small drop. And he could do so much more, and we all know this. Here's the tweet. This is Joe Biden here. In keeping with my campaign promise, his campaign promise was to knock out a lot more, actually, so that's not entirely true.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. My administration is announcing a plan to give working and middle-class families breathing room as they prepare to resume federal student loan payments in January 2023. So $20,000 if you went to college on Pell Grants, $10,000 if you didn't get Pell Grants. Forgiveness only applies to those earning less than $125 a year, and the student loan pause is extended one final time through December 31st, 2022. And then payment based on income. If you have undergraduate loans, you can cap repayment at 5% of your monthly income. So with the stroke of a pen, he could forgive all of it, and it would be just nothing. I mean, it's been paused for 2 years now, and it's going to be like pretty much a full 2 years by the end of the year. Nothing's happened. The sky has not fallen. People aren't going around being like, I'm going to spend all kinds of money now, because that's not, although like it'll cause inflation. That's bullshit. That's not, if you lift it entirely, you will have more people buying homes.
Right.
You'll have that. You need that anyway, because you know who's buying homes right now? The financial Wall Street firms are buying up homes. They're buying up neighborhoods. This is predatory beyond comprehension. So you want people buying homes, and more people will buy homes if you forgive student loan debt. It's not going to cause inflation. It's going to help stop the housing market from being as predatory as the freaking student loan crisis. That's what it's going to stop.
Absolutely. And I do think, one of the things I've always said about student loans, though, is like one of the reasons they get people to join the military is free college. And I think that's very relevant to, canceling student debt. Who's going to go, fight our wars? I don't know. I mean, it's going to be less people having that incentive.
Well, that's why I think, I did a short video on this. The reason they don't cancel all of it is not because they can't. They totally can. It's not because they don't know. They know that if Democrats canceled all student loan debt, they would win every election for the next 12 years at least. At least. They know that too. That's why they're doing this little thing right before a midterm, because they know how freaking popular it is. That's why they're doing it now. Why don't they cancel all of it? Because of what you said. Who's going to fight the wars? Because if you cancel all the student loan debt, you're going to have to go a step further and look at what causes it in the first place. And then you're going to get into the waters of we should have tuition free college. And they don't want to go there.
Absolutely.
Duchess
And
agrees. I hear Duchess in the back. I don't know if
yeah,
everyone. Duchess
Frank's
is on
leaving
board.
for work.
Duchess is like, free college. I'm for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Free obedience school for all. Definitely. Yeah, I do think, it, and I'm going to get hate for this, and that's okay. But I do think, as important as student debt is, it does frustrate me that nobody talks about medical debt.
Sure.
Because medical debt is directly murdering people. It is, people are directly dying because of medical debt, because of, they can't then get their medication, and they put off life, things they need to survive, or certain surgeries and things like that. And I think it's so important to talk about medical debt as well. And when I do mention that, I get a lot of pushback. Well, at least they can do bankruptcy. Well, the thing is, number one, that's a very privileged take, to be like, well, at least they can do bankruptcy, because they can only do it once every 7 years. So how many people are going to die in those 7 years before they can try to do bankruptcy? Because it is not a given. And I think, so it just gets very frustrating to me, because I've made posts about medical debt even half as much as you post about student debt. And I get shit for it. And I'm like, okay, wait, I talk to people every single day who are depressed and even sometimes suicidal because of their medical debt. And, credit scores are classist and racist, but let's be honest, just saying, well, file bankruptcy. Okay, good luck buying a home. Certain
Yeah,
jobs
that's
even
not.
check your credit score,
I
things like
mean,
that.
look, I am totally against like comparing and contrasting exploitation. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like it's a system that's exploiting people, and that's why medical debt happens. Same with student debt. So I don't, I get what you're saying, and I don't think it is in any way constructive to kind of like pit the two against each other. I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm just saying like yeah, I would never pit the two against each other. I think the reason I think student debt gets talked about more solely as student debt, and medical debt more gets talked about through the lens of why we need universal health care, is because at one point in this country, we didn't have the student debt crisis that we have now. At one point in this country, colleges were funded very well by the state, and higher education was incredibly affordable. And even when it got less affordable, like you said, there were student loans that weren't near as predatory and scammy as they are now. Then it, snowballed to the point where you're selling people these intentionally predatory loans. You know what it's going to do to them, but you're selling them to 18-year-olds, telling them they need to do this to get ahead. And that's a more recent phenomenon. And that's why we look at it through the lens of the corrupt debt. Whereas the sad reality with medical debt, well, we've always had a predatory healthcare system like this. We went from having no system to this predatory system. So I think more people just sort of casually accept how our medical system works, sans the people who are screaming for universal health care and Medicare for all, because
Right.
that's what would knock this out. And I think it's very, very disturbing, because neither of these debts should ever exist in a first world country, which we're not a first world country, but none of these debts should ever exist in a developed country. Like, it's absolutely criminal that this exists in the United States, either one of them. So yeah, I hear you. I mean,
Absolutely.
I think they should, but again, they don't want to talk about medical debt because that brings up the conversation of we need to have universal health care. This should never happen. And that's the conversation they don't want to have. You know this. You know this especially. That's
Yeah.
the conversation they don't want to have.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I obviously have dedicated my life to fighting for national improved Medicare for all. But the thing is, even if we got it today, millions of us still have so much medical debt, and it wouldn't be retroactive. So I think, it's important for people to remember that as well. But real quick, if I may, me and a few people from my group, M for M for All, did go to DC and met with Congressman Ro Khanna, and he has agreed. We met with him over an hour, and I brought my $15,000 worth of medical debt from 2 years, and and I have insurance, mind you. And through sitting down with him, he agreed to start drafting a bill for medical debt cancellation. He reached out to Bernie. They're now working on it together. We met with Rashida Tlaib. She agreed to sign on. We met with Pramila Jayapal's legislative assistant. Pramila has agreed to sign on. So, although I'm so against electoral politics and politicians, I think it's an important lesson that even as activists and organizers, if you push hard enough, like, we just wanted to talk to them about, like, look, you're fucking us over. And it turned into, they are literally writing legislation because of our meeting. So I think it's a really good, lesson to just be, don't let up, man. Just keep, just keep fighting. Just
You know
keep
what?
holding them accountable.
So that's freaking awesome. And I don't want to be like splitting hairs Magoo over here, but I would argue that what you just described, though, is not electoral politics. I think that pushing for policy is electoral politics is getting people elected.
Sure.
So I would say that pushing for policy is more like just a policy directed direct action. It's just a policy oriented direct action. And I feel like it's important to differentiate the two. And the reason I say this is not directed at you, but like the reason I say this is because, I've worked on several campaigns for policies and people are like, oh, yeah, I guess Ron's into electoralism and stuff like that. And I find it frightening that there are some people who genuinely don't understand the difference between pressuring a politician to support a policy, pressuring a politician to vote yes on a policy, and supporting that politician. There are people out there who do not know the difference between those two things, and that is frightening. Now, you're not one of those people, and I wasn't implying
I
you
get
were,
that though.
but
Like, I get
but
people coming at me with that.
you
Why
get
would
people
you meet
coming
with
at
them?
exactly.
You support Dems. Look, I am not a Dem, and if you follow me, I know, no. But like, let's be honest. If anyone would turn down the opportunity to meet with a congressman, you're fucking batshit crazy. You
Yes.
have the opportunity to tell them, I am holding your ass accountable. Like, there were no hugs, there was no bunny. Like, he straight up asked me, would you vote for Biden if he ran again? I looked at him right in his eyes and said no. Like, this was a straight up, like, this was me talking as a disabled person and as someone with medical debt and trying to represent the people I've spoken with who were counting on me, speaking for them. So, but I get it all the time. You support electoral politics. I didn't even
Yeah.
vote,
So take it back. Like,
3 months
yeah.
ago. What are you talking about?
So tell those people they don't know what electoral politics is because they clearly fucking don't. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, I'm not into electoralism, but like, no, fuck that. You can't call something you don't like if you don't understand. You just be like, oh, that's electoralism. No, it isn't. So
Absolutely. And I think that's the habit of being told that it is that, just, and I was
no,
like,
I feel you.
electoral politics. But yeah, that's true. I would not vote for any of the people I met with. But if I have a chance to, I mean, it feels real good to go on Twitter and be like, fuck you. Are they going to read that? No. Is it going to change anything? No. So sitting in their office for over an hour being like, okay, it pisses me off when you do this. You tweet about things that you don't actually act on. You say things like, share this if you want Medicare for all. Like, who the fuck doesn't? What
What would
does
Medicare for
sharing
All do
improve?
for you and your family?
Yeah, like, what would it mean to you? Do you actually read those comments? Because I know you don't. So those are the things we were talking about, and Savage Joy was present.
Love it. So let's switch gears over to some digital rights. Uh, there's a big whistleblower over at Twitter, and this is huge. Not a lot of folks are
Yeah.
talking about it. So here's from Wired. The most damning allegation in the Twitter whistleblowers report: Pelter Mudge Zacco's claims about the company's lack security are all bad, but one clearly captures the extent of the systemic issues. CNN and the Washington Post reported on accusations from former Twitter chief security officer Peter Zacco, often known as Mudge, that the company's security practices are dangerously lacking. It's a litany of charges that range from misleading bot counts to the employment of a known foreign government agent, but one allegation stands out among the rest. Engineers across Twitter. So here's the big part. Engineers across Twitter, according to Zacco's disclosure, had extensive access to the social network's live deployed software platform. Not only that, there was minimal monitoring and logging to track who did what in this production environment. That would leave an opening for someone with an unintended access or malign intentions to view user data or even make changes to the platform without raising alarms or leaving a clear trail. Well, all of Zatko's claims are serious. None more clearly captures the allegations of fundamental systemic issues within the company. So, what does that mean in plain terms? I mean, I think it's pretty blatant. Everybody has access to everything. That includes your DMs, and they can do anything, and no one's going to know what they did. They could just end your account. No one's going to even know. Like some random person at Twitter could just eliminate someone's account, just knock it out. And they'd be like, who eliminated this? We don't know. There's no trail. Nobody even logged in and said, hey, I'm engineer fuckface25 and I'm deleting, Magoo's account. Who deleted Magoo? We don't know. Was it fuckface25? We don't know. Fuckface25 didn't need to log in or do anything. Holy shit. And your DMs are so vulnerable. Everyone across the platform who works there.
It's crazy. I'm like, when I heard about this story, I was like thinking, who did I send like things, like photos to? And so I'm like trying to think like back to like, oh my God, what have I sent? That would be so bad if it got out. That's so scary. But the one really interesting thing I found is that the articles I've read is the guy who is the hacker has been addressed as like world renowned hacker. And I'm like, okay, so Twitter hired a hacker, which is either really punk rock or really fucking stupid. Either one.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I know a lot of people are talking about this guy and stuff about him. I don't know a whole lot about him, but the only thing that's most important to know here is that he had this job. He worked for Twitter. So it doesn't really matter like what else about him's out there. He was their chief security officer, and these are his findings, and that is accurate to what Twitter is doing. Like that's the most, like, he's their chief security, or was their chief security officer. This is what he's revealed about that company as far as your privacy, your data rights. It's just an open buffet for whoever. And Twitter could have end-to-end encryption in their messaging. They choose not to. They could go that route today if they wanted to. They don't want to do it. And by the way, now is the time, because you look at Facebook. Facebook has intercepted DMs about abortion. DM people trying to get information for abortion in a post-Roe world. Facebook has intercepted those DMs. We're going to look at another story about that here in a second. Facebook has interrupted and stopped those DMs from happening. That's what Facebook has been doing. And Twitter can certainly do the same thing should they choose to.
And Twitter, I don't know if you've ever had to report something, but like when I was doxxed, like man is not my last name, because I learned if you're going to be like any kind of like, I don't know how, like public figure or whatever the hell you want to call it, you are susceptible to shit. And I was doxxed. And I had someone threatening to call Social Security to fuck with my disability and say I'm not blind. And I mean, just it's been so bad. And when you report that, maybe 4 days later you go, we have not found anything against our standards, blah blah blah. So it's like they don't give a shit about when stuff's actually happening. They're more there to find information, not stop anything that is potentially harmful.
I mean, hey, my real name is not Ron Placone. My real name is McDonald McDonaldson. Not a lot of people know that.
I mean, I was gonna say I met your dad, and his name is Ron Placone, so that's kind of like, that's shitty for you to make your dad the target, Ron.
Poor guy. I know. That's just a random dude. I found that guy on Craigslist. So let's go over to Facebook now, because we got, I mean, that's what's going on at Twitter. Like they're apparently, like, there's just no security. They can do whatever. Your messages aren't encrypted, which we already knew. Here's something Facebook did recently. Facebook restricted a Planned Parenthood, of all places, by the way. And I have so many gripes with Planned Parenthood. The main one being they don't support Medicare for all because they don't want to lose the status quo that's benefiting them the most. But that aside, Facebook restricted a Planned Parenthood post telling people about abortion pills. So Facebook took action on the post despite medication abortion pills being legal in Michigan. So Facebook restricted a post from Planned Parenthood of Michigan, which contained factual information on abortion pills, and which also included a link to an article on where to obtain abortion pills online. Abortion, by the way, legal in Michigan. They're censoring it anyway, and they're doing it to freaking Planned Parenthood. And by the way, I'm not saying it was okay if it was someone else. I'm not being like, well, if it was someone else, like, no, it's wrong no matter who it is. But like Planned Parenthood, like a corporate partner that probably gives you a buttload of money, and you're even censoring that. Like, what has Facebook been taken over by Focus on the Family? Like, what the hell's going on?
Absolutely. So, like, you have to wonder. I mean, you know, some people don't think politics are involved, but they are. I mean, look at shit like this. That's political. That's people saying, if you support abortion, we're going to, you know, stifle your posts. I mean, they pick and choose what they want people to see. And that is so fucked up. You are not, you know, you either want things to be shared as a whole or you don't. It's that simple. But they pick and choose.
It's just so like, they all could just make the decision to have encrypted messaging, which would go a long way. They can all make the decision to be more transparent about our data and what they're doing with that data. Now, of course, Facebook's selling it, so they don't want to be transparent about that. That's how they make their money. We're the freaking product. That's what they make their money on. So, I mean, it's a mess. I mean, and that's why it's like antitrust is so important, which, by the way, everyone go to antitrustsummer.com. It starts reining big tech in. It starts breaking up these big tech juggernauts, because this is the kind of shit they can do. And to stay specifically on the abortion issue, here's something you can do right now. End abortion surveillance. Go to endabortionsurveillance.com and take action. This is a campaign that just launched. I think it's just officially launched yesterday. And this is going to crack down on all this, or issue a call to action on all this to lawmakers. End abortion surveillance. Surveillance built on corporate data harvesting is how draconian anti-abortion laws will be enforced. We must act now to protect people seeking, providing, and facilitating abortions. And again, that website is endabortionsurveillance.com. That is endabortionsurveillance.com. Let's go over to the super chat here, and we got Des Boys Flesh. I'm probably mispronouncing that, and I apologize. But you say, I expect good news at the end of every stream. I feel you. I feel like we opened with it today and said, although, good news, you can go to endabortionsurveillance.com and take action, and antitrustsummer.com and take action against these social media juggernauts being so haphazard with your data and being able to see your messages. So you say, I expect good news at the end of every stream, so you better have a break glass in case of emergency good news stash. That's the best I got. That's the good news I got. Go to
we're doing that time of the month for the first time in 3 months.
That's good news.
I don't know if you like me, but that's kind of celebratory to me.
There you go. Yeah. So that's a couple things. Thank you very much, Des Boss. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Des Boss. I like it. It's cool. Des Boss Flesh. Flesh. Is that right? I feel like I might be getting worse.
Very Rammstein.
Yeah, it does have like a German vibe. I was on Rammstein's party bus before. It was a really cool experience. They weren't there. I always have to. I told that story once, and the person thought I was like partying with Rammstein. I'm like, no. They have a party bus in Berlin that anyone can just book tickets for.
Oh my God!
When I was in Berlin, and I just took their party bus all around Berlin, which is as cool as it sounds. But Rammstein themselves were not there. I wish I was that cool. But thank you very much for that, Des Boss. Thank you very much for supporting the show. You help keep it on the air. Joy, where can people go to learn more about you or wish you well wishes or whatever it is they want to do?
So I believe, my Twitter is there. That's where I'm most active. I am a lead national organizer of M for M for All. We have something huge coming up. So definitely follow us and sign up for our emails. I have a YouTube show. I just celebrated 5 years last month, which is bananas. So you can find that on Savage Joy Marie Mann, and that's on YouTube and Rockfin. And then last week, I went back to Real Progressives, Real Progress in Action. I'm doing one show a week, so I'm still doing my channel. But Ron, you've been on Postmortem Breakdown. That's the show me and Available Andrew are doing on RPIA every Monday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So I still have my autonomy and my other shows, but they've been so supportive and amazing of all my activism and stuff. So I wanted to go back at least once a week.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for being here, and glad you could make it and feel better. I wish it was under different circumstances, but I hope you feel better and have a full and swift recovery very, very soon.
Thank you so much. I always have fun with you. And thanks everyone for watching.
See you, Joy. Peace. Savage Joy. Getting better. She's getting better all the time. Yeah, isn't that? I was just thinking about that. Like, oh, that's cool. Joy could. And then I thought, like, man, what? Like, that's great, but what ridiculous circumstances? Like, hey, Joy could do the show today because she has COVID, so she can't go to her job. Normally, she'd have to go to this job. Anyway, what a time to be alive, huh? Guys, thank you so much for being here. Thanks again, Des Bosch Flesh, for the super chat contribution. You help keep the show on the air. And guys, if you want to support this show on the sustainability end, patreon.com is the best way to do it. You get all kinds of perks. You get a bunch of stand-up clips that I've not released anywhere else. You get my album. You can just download it. I will make you a theme song. I make theme songs for my patrons. That's a freaking blast. I love making theme songs for you. And also you can watch my short film / pilot Loner. It is out now for patrons of Rockfin Premium members. It has not been released to the public yet. There's going to be some screenings in 2023, though. Stay tuned. There will be some screenings in 2023. We're on the verge of confirming the first one soon. But you can watch that film right now if you're a patron. How much does that cost, Ron? It's a give what you can level. So if you got an extra $1 a month that you won't miss, that's all it takes. If you can afford more than that, great. But if you're like, you know what, Ron, I won't miss $1 a month. Patreon.com/Ron Placone. I don't care so much about the $1 a month as your membership. I'm trying to build a community. So whatever you are comfortable giving that you will not miss, make sure it's an amount that you won't miss. You're like, I'm not going to notice that. Patreon.com/Ron Placone. $1 a month is all it takes. I do not have a tiered Patreon. So I do not have, if you give this, you get this. If you give this, you get this. No. Whatever you give, you get all the same stuff. You have to put in a suggested amount. So the suggested amount is $5, but that's just their system. Like I have to do that. No matter what you give, you get everything because all of my posts are meant for all patrons. I set every single post to all patrons. All right. So patreon.com/Ron Placone. Even $1 a month goes a long way. I will be announcing 2023 tour dates soon, but in the meantime, September 10th, I'm premiering a new show, a historical interpretation of Lucian the Satirist. It's a historic interpretation, one-man show. I've been meaning to write it for 10 years. I finally got around to writing it a couple months ago. I'm premiering it September 10th at the Corner Store in Los Angeles in the San Pedro neighborhood at 2 p.m. It is an outdoor, unamplified show. I'll even be in costume. And then I'll hopefully be doing that show at Renaissance fairs across the country in 2023. So check that out. If you're in the Los Angeles area, it is free show, 2 p.m., San Pedro neighborhood, ronplacone.com for more info on that. So that's the big show I got coming up on September 10th. Guys, thank you so much for being here. We'll be back next week. And in the meantime, thank you again, Des Boss Flesh, for the super chat contribution. Hope I'm doing it justice there with the pronunciation. Shout out to everyone over on the Rock Fan. And y'all know the drill. Lucy, she says meow. I say peace, love, and a general strike.